What if the beliefs that make you feel safe are the things that are keeping you stuck? Let's talk about beliefs for a minute. My name is Nicholas Smith, creator of 12 Journeys Coaching, author of The Giants and the Smalls, Tortoise's Hair, and The Art of Accomplishment. Let's talk about beliefs for a minute. The word belief comes from the Germanic Glauben, which means to hold dear. And if you look at the original translations, let's go back to the Bible, for example, belief was in the Hebrew Bible trust, and trust means to have a confident expectation. So it's essentially the things that we trust, the frameworks, the structures, the things that hold us in place. Belief systems are a lot like railroad tracks. You lay them down early on in life, and then you put that train on those tracks, and it goes down those tracks pretty steadily. But if you want to go in a new direction, you either have to jump the tracks or build a whole new set of tracks. Or it's like a maze, and the beliefs are the walls on the maze, and they're the things you bump into that tell you which direction you can go. Sometimes you run into dead ends, sometimes you don't. Or they're like the roots on a tree. They're underground, you don't see them, but they control how big that tree will become, and they determine what kind of fruits that tree will create. So beliefs are these underlying systems that we hold on to that keep us feeling safe and trusting within these certain guidelines, frameworks, viewpoints that we have. It's like wearing glasses and you've got a certain prescription and you only see the world through those glasses a certain way. The world is the way it is, but your filter determines how you see that world. Somebody comes along and switches out your glasses and you're like, oh my God, I can see everything. Townsend Wardlaw, one of my mentors, said that the moment you believe a belief, it becomes limiting by the nature of believing it. And so the moment you believe it, you're saying essentially, this is how the world works. You box in the universe and you make it limiting by the nature of believing it. So our beliefs are everything. We have belief systems around our work ethics, our relationships, and they're driving factors. They're behind the scenes. They're these guidelines or operating systems that we use to determine how we'll act in life. I'll share an example of one of mine, which is I need to grind or work hard constantly. If I'm not grinding or working hard, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm not productive, like I'm not doing anything. And the challenge isn't that. It's essentially that I'm just spinning my wheels a lot of times. So I learned this belief system early on. My mom, who had 11 kids, 8 kids at home, I was number 9 of 11 kids. She created a chore chart where we would, on this chart, have our name on there multiple times, multiple chores, and then a date system where we would look at our name, come across to the date, go up to our chore, and we'd have about 4 or 5 of those, and those were our chores for the day. And we learned early on that you had to grind in order to get approval, love, or no yelling, no spankings, stuff like that. So we learned early on that you have to either be busy getting the chore done or appear busy. So we learned to work the system so that my mom wouldn't yell at us. And man, kudos to her for creating a system for managing 8 little kids. It's like herding cats. I can imagine how crazy that must have been. But early on, I developed this belief system that if I wanted something or if I wanted approval, I needed to appear busy. So there's no problem with working. The problem is that I was busy for busyness sake. And so there wasn't really strategy in my busyness. So now what I'm learning is I'm having to rewrite this belief system that says you need to be busy, because when I'm not busy, I feel guilty. I feel like I'm not valuable, like I'm doing all these things. So these are the belief systems I'm running into. But the reality is that belief system no longer serves me. That structure, that framework, that filter that I created early on that used to be hers then became mine. Now I've got to change it because it no longer serves me. Now I've got to convert that belief system into a strategy of, if I'm going to be busy, I need to do it in things that are going to be effective for me, not just be busy for busyness sake. Does that make sense? So you have your own version of that. You're going down these pathways, frameworks, filters that you've trusted for a long time. And some of those are actually really good for you. Some of those are serving you and helping you to get to where you want to go. And others are not. They're what we call limiting beliefs. And so those limiting beliefs are the frameworks and filters and systems that you've created that you trust, that when you get outside of those, you feel like you can't trust anything because you're in the realm of uncertainty, and heaven forbid you go into the chaos and create with it. What I know about us is that we have the ability to adapt. Charles Darwin said it's not the strongest or the most intelligent that survive, it's the most adaptable to change. And so when we recognize we have the power to adapt to anything, we could start to adapt to our belief systems as well, but we have to see them first. If you can't see your belief systems, then you're running on automation, and that automation determines what goes on. It's like the roots on the tree. You don't see it, but it's determining how big the tree will grow. So we have to wake up to our automations. So recently I created an application on ChatGPT called Own Your Shit, and it'll wake you up to your belief systems and patterns, and it will help you create ownership around those, because as soon as you can see them, everything changes. Then you can give attention to those, and as you give attention to things, they grow, and you're able to go in a new direction. So there's two ways that I can help you break through those belief systems. One is you could buy my application, do ChatGPT Plus. It's a one-time investment of $100 on this, and then a monthly subscription of $20 through ChatGPT. But this thing will break you wide open. And I caution you, it is so blunt. It'll swear like a truck driver at you to get you to wake up. But once you wake up, you can start giving attention to it, and this application will guide you through it. The other way is to come be a part of one of my programs. We have what are called Sum Gigante, which stands for I Am Giant in Latin. So we call them SG programs. But I'm running a 15th cohort on October 20th for 6 weeks. And that's where we really slow down with who you think you are and your belief systems. And we start to rewrite your narrative. And that is a powerful way for you to break free from these belief systems that are controlling you, because it's from those beliefs that we create our ideals, and it's in our ideals that we create our suffering. So if I have a belief system and this is where I'm at, and these are my ideals of where I think I should be at, then I create a gap between there, and that's where all suffering occurs. Because a lot of times we're not okay with where we're at. So we're constantly working toward this. And so if we could start to shift this and get you okay here and allow you to have possibility of earning this, then it takes away the guilt and the shame and the anxiety and the depression that we have when we measure ourselves against our ideals. So Lisa Feldman Barrett's work, she talks about depression is when we don't measure up to our own ideals, and anxiety is when we're not measuring up to the ideals we think others have for us. That's where we can play. So come join me, DM me, write in the comments right now. I'm interested. I'll get you details. But we are starting another cohort on October 20th, 2024. And I lost the microphone. And we will go for 6 weeks. It's an hour and a half by Zoom every week. You can join us from the US, the UK, anywhere in the world. We'd love to have you. Make it a giant day. Check your beliefs. See if they're helping you or hurting you. And then reach out to me for either the application or the SG program. Make it a giant day. I'll see you in the next video.